What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Mario Nawfal Crypto Daily, coming out of the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. I know Crypto Face is still out there. I just got back this weekend, and we so many great conversations. The development is just incredible to see what's happening in the Bitcoin ecosystem and also some of the peripheral utilities, services, and just the incredible lineup they had on that stage talking of what was going on. Even Ross Ulbricht up there, speaking about his freedom and what his plans are moving forward. I can't wait to dive into this panel today. We've got BlockGuard, which we're going to be diving into, an AMA towards the end, but we're going to be layering so many different topics, setting up that conversation. And with that being said, again, welcome to another Mario Nawfal Crypto Daily. My name's Kelly Kellum. We got my illustrious co-host here, going to the moon and back and ready to lift off to the stars, Mr. Buzz. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. While you were away at the Bitcoin conference, we held down the fort on crypto Twitter, and a lot of drama on crypto Twitter in the last week. I'm sure that we'll have a lot to dive into, from James Nguyen, and you already mentioned Ross Ulbricht with that, what is it, a $30 million donation that he got to his wallet. Wonder where that came from. So I'm sure we'll dive into all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I really love, I just want to highlight this as we kick this off. I love these panel discussions and the sponsors that we have that are on these, because it allows us to not only have a wide range of voices talking about everything going on in the space, but then also diving into the AMA at the end with the sponsor today, BlockGuard, and really getting a peek under the hood at what they're doing. I know we had them on a month or so, maybe a month and a half or so back. Really great things that you guys are doing. I can't wait to see what else you got on the horizon and sort of some of the steps that you've taken. But before we dive into that, I see we have again, incredible panel. So let's go around the room. Mr. Richard Seller, come over from Crypto Rand and RR2. A lot of stuff on the horizon right now, and a lot of the stuff sort of washing back and forth in the narrative, and you can see it in the charts. Bitcoin price just looking like it's just doing everything it can to capture as many people over leveraged without a strategy as possible. While I'm still overwhelmingly bullish, I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback in the charts. But how are you feeling about the markets coming into this week after the Bitcoin conference?
Yeah, I actually took a bit of a break. I went trout fishing for 4 days and was disconnected from any internet. So not much has changed in my opinion. I think we are due a slight correction. Just personal bias on having watched the price action for the last couple of months and looking at a couple of metrics quite closely. I'm still pretty optimistic. I do think things went a bit vertical. There's a couple of fair value gaps that could be reclaimed, and I'm optimistic that we get our beloved alt season in some shape or form. I think ETH started to show some semblances of what's possible, and I think there's just been a couple of macro things that have created a little bit of attention. The China tariffs seem to be front and center again. A little bit of Ukraine, Russia unease when they're supposed to start peace talks fairly soon. So, these kind of things just send a little bit of jitters, and you could see the gold price rallied, and but I think things will settle, and I think the trajectory with crypto for now is going to continue. But as you know, there's always volatility. It's never up in a straight line. It's usually quite a jaded path to glory.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. James Nguyen is one of those stories. You mentioned that before, Buzz, but there's all this debate of whether or not it's just somebody that's absolutely a degen trader out there, or is he using leverage like the big boys tend to use leverage, which is more as a hedge. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe he's trading the opposite direction on a larger pile of cash on spot and just trading degen style, for the clicks and also a little bit of a balance. I don't know. But Asun, what's your thoughts on the whole James Nguyen debacle?
It looks like either he's an extreme degen or Hyperliquid's running the greatest marketing campaign of all time. But I'm loving the fact that we're getting action on both sides. So you can trade with him or you can trade against him. But I was just looking at my overall metrics that I like to look at. And it looks like the crypto money printer is printing. All of the businesses are doing well. I don't really see that much of a let up on fees. We just need the market to catch up and realize what's going on. But the businesses are booming from my perspective right now.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. And, I couldn't be more. The only thing that bothers me is that I couldn't be more bullish, and so I know that in my past, when I felt that way, that tends to be when you get very very humbled in the market. But it just feels like everything lining up with from the governments to the institutions to the capital flows. There's so much going on that it feels like that dam to the upside is going to have to break at some point. But at the end of the day, you know, the market's going to remain irrational longer than most people can remain solvent. So maybe we just need to be a little bit patient. But Anthony Zaroli, how you doing? Welcome to the show. What's your sort of general sentiment on the market and what you feel like we may be looking for into now that we're in June? They say sell and may walk away. Is that trope over, or are you feeling a little bit more bullish? You're muted, but I know it's alpha.
Yeah, I apologize. No, I've been bullish for a while. I think we have until about July 4th until we have a big correction. But I think between now and then, you could see 125 moving forward. The last time we had a move like this and consolidation pattern, you had about 85 days to play with. So we're within that window.
I hear that. I love the simple and sweet, because that's sometimes we overcomplicate things with 77 charts, 77 graphs, and 77 different lines on a chart. In reality, sometimes you just look to previous range highs and a little bit of time in the market for it to actually resolve in the direction we want to go. But we also got Vitalis here. How are you doing, my friend? And what's your feeling looking into? By the way, were you at the Bitcoin conference, Vitalis?
Kelly, no, I'm not at Bitcoin conference this year. Doing great. And regarding the market, I think that people are mostly overly bearish or overly bullish right now. What does it mean? That we're gonna range, right? So I think time pain is the biggest pain. But no, for real, I think price action is pretty decent, and I didn't expect it go above all-time high before summer. So let's see. Probably I'm wrong, but it's very good that we are consolidating above previous all-time high. So I think market is decent.
I hear that, and I couldn't agree more with you there. And then we got our two hombres here from BlockGuard. We got Daniel and Anthony. So, you know, one of the things that I saw last cycle was so many people, and this is a somewhat somewhat bad strategy related. We saw so many people make so much money and then not have the ability. They didn't manage it properly. So they had issues with the ability to even pay the taxes on the money they made because they started spending it before they came up with the strategy. Then on the flip side of that, we also see all this huge in this current cycle, what feels like a higher level of scrutiny people need to take into consideration about how they're managing their funds, whether it's on exchange, whether it's in a cold storage or hot wallet, soft wallet, whatever it is, some sort of wallet off exchange. Because especially with the recent exploit that we saw on Coinbase, I know that I get nonstop messages that try to get me to click through to update something, obviously all phishing links. But do you think that we're starting to near that time period where the populace within the crypto ecosystem is becoming more aware of the need for sort of personal sovereignty, their personal security, the need to actually hold custody of their own crypto in safe mechanisms? Or is this only going to get worse as new people come in and they're not even sure what blockchain is? Somebody just told them to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, I definitely think that the overall consensus is coming. And people are starting to realize that, right, I need to take control of my own assets, or like I risk losing them, obviously. But you do in a bank as well. If a bank goes bust, your funds are only insured to a certain amount. I think one of the biggest problems is, touching upon your point, where people are spending money when they've made it before they've even paid their taxes. We had obviously the pump fund. It went mental. It exploded. Pump fund went through the roof. 400 million in shit coins invested. But people were making 10, 15, 20 million dollars and then spending all that money on more shit coins and losing everything they made. So I think education is key. I think when you're onboarding new users, I think they really, really need to be educated on what they're buying, what this asset class is all about, what the underlying tech is. Everybody says good tech, buy, but they're all after money gains. We're all after money gains, aren't we? Every single one of us on here, every single person watching, we all want to profit at the end of the day. But if we start throwing money at useless assets that have no utility at all, and the teams don't even lie, they tell you we have no utility, but we're just going to try and pump this. We're trying to get the cabal involved, and we'll try and pump it 100x. If you're going to start throwing your money at that, you've got to be willing to lose it all, because at the end of the day, when there's no underlying foundation or infrastructure to take that project on long term, it's just too much of a heavy risk, and people really need to be educated on that.
I definitely hear that. And I'd love to get Face's opinion on this, because Crypto Face, you're obviously legendary in the crypto ecosystem with the trades that you take, but also just the discourse you have with your pretty darn large community. A lot of people coming in are listening to random influencers, and everybody's saying, well, this is just exactly how it's going to go based on this is what we saw last cycle. And then you have the other more nuanced people out there talking about this cycle may be a little different because of construction. How do you look at this cycle? Do you feel like we're still going to see a similar, or it's something that somewhat rhymes with an alt season? Or is this just kind of like Bitcoin's going to be in charge and you can take your plays independently and in specific strategic manners? Or is this no longer the cycle where you can throw a dart at the board and almost everything's going up at some point in the cycle?
Yeah, I would definitely say this is definitely no pin the tail on the donkey cycle anymore, because there's just too much and too many. But I'm still out here in Vegas, and every single person that's asked me that really asks about crypto, and they're like, what's is there any good memes? And really the answer, I give them is no. And so, but there's a couple, you have to find like a solid one or two projects. Soon I'll be saying the Fusio token. You have to have a project that's super legitimate, but also has the ability to attract, with price action. So you're going to need, a nice double-edged sword, and without cutting yourself, you know what I'm saying? But God forbid, we're gone for a week at this convention and Bitcoin pulls back 5% and the world's turning on fire. And so I still believe in the 4-year cycle. Technically, it's right on target. I mean, we hit a new all-time high. Volatility is just as high as it pretty much, higher than any other 4-year cycle, the 4th year of the 4-year cycle. We are in a 4th year of a 4-year cycle, and that's when it's most volatile. I checked the fear and greed index, I think a day or two ago, and it was at like 55. I'm hoping it's a little lower today. But I believe moving forward, Sui's really popular right now because they, apparently have good quote unquote tech, but they also have good price action. And so that's what we need. So I'm loading up on BlockGuard's tokens here. That's what I'm doing.
Face, what's your take on what James Wynn is doing right now? I know a lot of people on the panel and probably people who are tuning in just can't go on X without seeing his tweets right now.
Well, I think that on a decentralized exchange, you can see what some big whales are doing, as opposed to, a centralized exchange where you don't know what big whales are doing. So I think, the guy's having fun with it, and, it's pretty cool. And so, I wish every trader out there the best of luck. I think it's a great marketing ploy, and it's also kind of a little scary from a trader perspective. Like if someone knows your wallet, or if you put it out there, it's like, man, it's always going to be there, So I think it's pretty cool, and it gives us something to talk about. 5% pullback on Bitcoin. It's over, folks. It's over.
I don't think it's over. What do you think, Kelly?
I don't think it's over at all. I think every asset, and it's not Bitcoin, it's not Ethereum, it's not Aptos, it's any asset that trades on a speculative market. has a bull trend, distribution top, a bear trend, and an accumulation bottom. And I think what most people really confuse themselves on is they think you can only have a bull trend or a bear trend. And in fact, in a bull trend on a macro, you can have full market cycles on a midterm time frame, whether it's on a week, a 4-hour, or even a 15-minute chart. And so all those same components are, you want to look for. And so seeing price run up from 75,000 to about $111,000, $112,000, it doesn't surprise me, especially right now, to see price. I mean, it's actually beautiful. Price is holding still above about $104,000, $103,000. If it were to drop, it wouldn't surprise me in the least, and I wouldn't even turn bearish. I did a post about it this morning on my page that I would be very comfortable with seeing price flush down into the low 90s, even in the upper 80s, and it wouldn't change my discourse whatsoever about how bullish I am. In fact, I think that would be an overwhelming gift if we're able to get prices to do that. If Bitcoin were to do that, though, I do want to caution everybody, there's a different level of risk that's attributed to Bitcoin versus other altcoins, especially depending on their sort of risk profile, how big the market cap is, how entrenched they are in some sort of narrative or mind share. If Bitcoin dropped from 104 to 92,000, for instance, filled that CME gap, retested the short-term holder cost basis, all necessary technical levels, altcoins would probably take a pretty a larger spill to the downside. So that could scare you, or you could look for opportunities. So that's kind of my general disposition on it.
I have to agree with you 100%. And again, I was joking about the 5% pullback. It's over. And these volatile years on the fourth year of the 4-year cycles, it's when everyone gets attracted to it, and it's also when everyone gets wrecked. So I'm still bullish as hell, and I think we're going to be just fine. We just have to sell November, December. In November, December, that's when the bear market's supposed to start next year. That's when shit starts, is supposed to start hitting the fan. So,
Well, on that note too, everybody, I see people worrying that retail's not here yet. And I'm like, that's the last thing I'd be worried about if I'm bullish, because retail tends to scale in very heavily into a FOMO zone, creates the FOMO zone, and you get this sort of hype cycle. The fact that we're not seeing a huge onslaught of new participants coming in right now actually leads me to be more bullish, because we're just seeing, I don't want to say smarter players, but people that are, most of the people that are involved right now are people that have been involved. So we haven't gotten that last sort of flood of liquidity come in. The question is that new flood of new retail really going to drive prices up, or is it just institutional driven? Or third possibility here, maybe we're not seeing the retail because it's getting sort of scooped up by the other capital channels and ETFs and other sort of proxies.
If they're already in, what retail is left? This isn't 2018 anymore. There is no more retail left. No one cares about retail anymore. We're already here.
Let's go, baby. But I'd love to throw it back to Richard. Are there any things in the market that you feel like maybe people aren't paying attention to? I know today we've got Powell to speak, and everybody wants to believe the rumor that Powell's going to resign. I don't personally see that happening, but are there any other sort of signals or anything else that maybe we should be paying attention to in the market that are getting overlooked?
Well, I think on that point, it's important to note that the market would probably shit the bed if he did resign. I think we're all a little bit misaligned with reality and thinking that it'll be good for crypto. It wouldn't be good for the markets in the short term. That's my personal opinion. Something that I saw interesting this morning, just going back to the James Wynn debate, CZ wrote a nice little piece about dark pools. I don't know if anybody read it, but it was a pretty interesting post. I think it's fairly common knowledge that the bigger centralized exchanges are probably quite threatened by these large dexes that are starting to eat their lunch, and rightfully so. I think competition is good, and the fact that the competition is coming from on-chain is probably good for crypto if you're a decentralized purist of some form. But I thought it made for some interesting reading, because his logic, it's almost like he didn't like what he was seeing in terms of this guy being targeted. So Kelly, whether it's a marketing ploy or something, I think there's something much deeper at play here. I just can't see it, somebody being that foolish to just openly give back $100 million. And then once again, that's personal opinion. I listened to the guy come on to Crypto Banter's talk, and it was very strange. Just certain red flags were shooting up. It just didn't make any sense. The way that he was explaining his methodology. claiming that he was a professional gambler, and just didn't make any sense. But anyway, that's my personal take. But
What
yeah,
did he say? What did he say? He just gave back 100 million on purpose? Is that what he said?
Well, no, he almost alluded to it. He said, hey, maybe I'll double it, or maybe I'll lose it all, but it's going to be here in plain sight for everybody to see. And he spoke about his background in gambling and professional gambling.
Those guys, so professional gamblers, I don't know one good trader that comes from being a professional gambler. So I guarantee you that dude does not have an overall positive P&L that he can hang on to for more than like 6 months. I don't know one quote unquote professional gambler that is an actual long-term successful trader. I'm willing to bet everything on that he probably does not have a positive P&L in trading. I'm not hating on the guy.
Yeah, he's probably not pulling a fib to see where a good retracement zone is. That's for sure.
I'm going to pull your fib, Kelly.
Hey, dude, get that golden pocket. But Anthony, I see you smiling as well. It just feels like we're getting to the stage in the market on the awareness side of things where there's more awareness, but it also feels like there's, especially because institutions are here. Institutions can move multi-trillion dollar markets like it's nothing, right? Now we got Bitcoin. People want to think it's a top dog, and maybe in the crypto ecosystem it is, but it is. I mean, it's an infant on the street of the rest of global markets. Are we kind of entering a stage right now where people are looking at data like they did in previous cycles and not taking into account that there's different types of players in this cycle that can stack order books? They can, set up liquidation heat zones. They could, all the things that they're seeing, all these crypto pros utilize. It's like, oh, well, we can just manufacture whatever data we need you to see to get you to move the ball the direction we want to go. Are we entering a stage like that, you think, or am I being a little bit too doom and gloom?
No, I think that's possible. You have AI now to help people, whereas previous cycles you had to go through crypto, CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko to research, and then you had to use some archaic tools to find out those fair value gaps and order blocks, and then find out liquidation zones for larger wallets if they're online. But yeah, that's being expedited quite fast with technology, one, and then two, you're having government entities that are probably trading we're not aware of. So I say the big takeaway from Dubai was they're focusing on the Middle East as AI first as an investment portfolio, and then second is blockchain. So outside of trading, that's where, in my opinion, everyone should be focusing on narrative-driven stuff, is follow the money. Well, the biggest money in the world that has all the oil, they're investing in AI one, and then blockchain number two. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at in terms of where the money's going. So follow the money. I mean, the M2 money supply has been skyrocketing the past 3 months. We've been talking about that nonstop. Bitcoin's going to follow. The other narratives I don't think have really panned out yet. People are still sleeping on AI in general, and Vitalis can talk more about that, but that's the big step, AI and blockchain, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I was thinking at many of the interviews that I did this last week at the Bitcoin conference, I was like, man, there's a lot of Bitcoin DeFi discussions going on. Then I realized, well, this is also the Bitcoin conference, so of course it's going to be a lot more Bitcoin focused, protocols that were there. But I do see a pretty big focus on it. I do know maybe a year and a half ago there was a big push towards this, I think, an expectation around this explosion in Bitcoin DeFi, and it didn't happen, quote unquote, on the price action in some of those assets. But I think people are being far too impatient with some of these things, the way they develop. Vitalis, I'd love to get your take on this, because not just Bitcoin DeFi, but also the development, as Anthony just pointed out. There's a lot of AI is at this intersection now entering, while this is also entering a world stage like I don't think any of us we wanted, but I don't think we could have predicted how fast this pendulum has shifted this last six or 8 months. How big of an impact do you think AI is going to be, just whether it's UI, UX, or even helping in trading? Is that going to be sort of one of those bastions of opening the floodgates of new participants?
I forgot who quoted that, but it's like people usually overestimate technology in short term and underestimate it in long term. So I believe like all AGI talks are bullshit. And if you're working like as a prompt engineer or working with AIs, there are still a lot of challenges and difficulties. However, I believe that people don't understand what's going to happen in some period of time, like 5 years, because it's like everything is changing so fast. And if we can see as an example, every OpenAI ChatGPT update is killing like probably around 100 mil valuation of startups, basically every 3 months. So like the pace that we're having right now at tech is insane. So it's like so hard to keep up. And it used to be fast, but now it's faster than ever. And regarding impact, I see that we were talking about like utility and about meme coins, and I feel that people are obviously pissed with utility rugs. At the same time, people are pissed with meme coins, and I feel like AI is the last kind of hope and chance where people might expect and see some like utilities that brings value, not extracts, because it's still something new and exciting, and obviously people love shiny things. But at the same time, it can actually bring value.
I really agree with the quote that you referenced, just about people overestimating tech in the short term. I think as it pertains to AI, what we're seeing is that I know Claude 4 came out last week, and people are saying, "Oh, well, the devs are dead. AI is going to take over devs," and usually comments come from people who have done no development and really haven't used Claude or Cursor or anything like that. Daniel, do you have any sort of comment on that in terms of where AI is as it pertains to development as the CTO of BlockGuard?
I think AI has played now in the last term a huge impact on everybody, especially since I think everybody realized that now AI kind of needs blockchain. So there has been a kind of symbiotic approach into the whole ecosystem, because at this end of the end of the time, AI is going to need some kind of rail that it can move around, and that's going to be the blockchain rail, in my opinion. But yeah, great question, actually. It is hard to anticipate where this can go, and I'd like to touch upon what Vitalis already said, that the problem with AI is that everything that we see now, we have because the human mind is very hard to extrapolate things in that grow exponentially, right? So when we see how exponentially fast something develops, we kind of might be able to foresee something, but we actually can't grasp it. So that is the problem that we're facing, that in the next 5 years, there are going to be so many shifts, and people will have to iterate so many times from what they know, how they're used to work, what they're used to do, that it's going to affect everybody. And yeah, but I think it's a way forward, and we will have to adapt to it like we always do.
It's got to be at least devs that don't use AI are going to be dead. Like on any projects, right, or that I'm working on or know of, if the devs aren't somehow using AI, I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? What's taking them so long? You know, like every dev and every person should be using AI in their business coming up here.
Totally agree. I mean,
Completely agree. Yeah.
It can make a developer into a 5x or 10x developer by just becoming comfortable with these tools. But I do think that the market overblows the fact that we're not going to need devs in 3 months, and that anybody who's non-technical can become an engineer. Maybe we'll get there on a 3 to 5 year timeline, but not quite yet.
I agree with that.
I think
point.
usually it starts from
Yeah, go on.
automating, the very lowest tier part of job. So in our case, probably like front-end stuff or just something very, very simple. But like, good luck doing code reviews with all this shit, you know?
Yeah, I agree with the point that everybody should be trying to utilize AI in some way, but I think the problem comes when people start to rely on AI. That's when things become dangerous. You'll start getting devs that solely rely on AI as Vitalis just said, to review, build code, and they don't know how to spot maybe a bug in the code. They may not get it audited by a third party, and then you're open to so many exploits. And we all now know AI isn't perfect yet. It may be in the future, but it's definitely not perfect yet. I mean, you ask it questions about IBC, for instance, or ask it questions about BlockGuard. When it's finished the facts, it'll just throw out a random guess on something that has nothing to do with the company at all. So yeah, we're definitely in a situation at the moment where it's good enough to do 90% of what you need it to do, but you definitely need that qualified expert for that extra 10%. You can't rely on it solely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think I forget who I can't remember. James Heckman, that's who I interviewed, and he was actually talking about AI as a bit of a worrisome thing. Not that, I mean, obviously it's going to be overwhelmingly incredibly impactful for efficiencies, but I think early on, maybe even for the next year or so or more, people see AI and they think it is the answer. This is the fact. And in reality, a lot of it's just data scraping and just repackaging it in a new form. And that also leads to this idea of, even if you take it for news, how do you know that this is correct versus it's scraping it from something that's either biased or non-biased? There's a lot of improvements that I think are going to be made upon. But listen, I mean, from ChatGPT, what was it, almost 2 years ago now, to where we're at today, is I cannot even quantify the level of change and growth that's happened there, and the impact not only on my business with content and what I'm doing, on video, as well as Twitter and YouTube and Rumble, but also just the speed at which I can get things done. And I don't use anything that's the output from the AI as the finished product, but it definitely shortcuts probably, I would say, 60 hours of work a week that I can just utilize a few hours to fine tune some of those things for output. But this is a great pivot because we've got BlockGuard here up here in the top of the stream here. We're going to be diving in with an AMA with them to get a peek under the hood at what they're doing. But before we do that, I do want to shout out to every single one of you that's tuned in here on another Mario Nawfal Crypto Daily, and just say this is special thanks to our IBC crew in the background, about 200 strong. IBC's been around since 2017, working with some of the biggest projects, including many of the largest Binance Launchpad projects this year, some of the biggest launches of the year. And so if you're interested in getting involved with these panel discussions, if you want to become a sponsor and have one of these long panel discussions, and then basically also one of these AMA, peek under the hood so we can meet you face to face, get you in front of a lot of people, we'd love to have you on. Just drop a DM here to the Mario Nawfal account or to the Roundtable Space account. We'd love to get you involved, doing everything from consulting to biz dev to everything from AI to crypto. Drop a DM and we'll dive in with that. Now, with that being said, I'm going to pull up some screen shares so we can share some content with you while we dive into this AMA. I'm going to throw it over to Buzz to kick off this AMA with BlockGuard. And again, thank you everybody for being here.
Yeah, let's hit it. Well, we always start the same direction, pretending that a listener is just tuning in now. Maybe they weren't here for the start of the show. Maybe Anthony, I'm not sure if you're going to be speaking mostly on behalf of BlockGuard, but would love to hear just an elevator pitch to kick it off.
Yeah, so what we are doing is we're building an ecosystem to really support the onboarding of new users and really helping blockchain get that adoption. We spoke about it briefly a little bit ago, about educating people when they're coming into the ecosystem. What are you buying? Why are you buying it? How can it benefit you? We're really focused on making an entire ecosystem to teach people this. It doesn't have to be new users. There's many users that are taking part in the crypto space at the moment that themselves, they don't go and do their own research. They don't know or have the ability or where to go. You'll see them pop up in Discord. Can you tell me what this is? Can you tell me what they're doing? They don't know the websites. They don't know the avenues to go down to be able to do that. So what we are providing within the ecosystem is an automated service to go along with that user onboarding. which will be able to automate news events, automatic screening of tokens, screening of teams, projects, give you a full rundown of information on what the project's doing, what the token's for, the utility of the tokens. We've got Vitalis and his group at Mindscraft that are our AI partners that are going to help us build that side of things out. We also have many other areas within the ecosystem. The main product is a wallet, and then the features within the wallet are very much tailored towards financial management and stability. So we have an AI system that's been trained to help categorize assets and goal plan for users. So as a user, say Kelly comes in, he has $10,000. I want to turn this $10,000 into 100,000. This is how long I want to do it in. I want to do it in 2 years. Our system will automatically help you categorize your assets and then help you to where you need to allocate them assets in a safe and secure manner to be able to start hitting them goals. Very much as a traditional finance advisor would do, but we will be covering the decentralized finance world. Plus, we have the ability for users to manually input off-chain assets. As you can see on the screen here, these are the Fusio portfolios where the likes of CryptoFace, as a KOL, he can go on to our portfolio platform. He owns an NFT. He can create a portfolio for his followers to be able to invest in. So there's a 2.5 to 5% fee. CryptoFace can add, remove assets, rebalance, but it's always on the user's control. If the user doesn't want to follow what CryptoFace does after, they don't need to. They can just retain the assets they bought originally from his portfolio, and that's it. They don't have to do anything else.
And this is already working. I've done this. I use it, and I love it. And the CryptoFace portfolio has extremely majorly helped me. So I'm able to keep my greasy fingers off of, instead of having money in a Chinese exchange, for me to have my, my crypto investments and have it rebalance and have the tools. I don't need to do that anymore. I can have it somewhere where I can keep my greasy fingers kind of off of it. And it's a much more supported place. So I just want to say that this is something I'm using right now. I've been using for a while and have had major success with it, like big time success.
You touched on the wallet. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the key features and kind of what differentiates the wallet, as I see Kelly Nezed now on the screen.
Yeah, so with our wallet, it's the same thing as I said before. It's really about education and usability for new users. Let's take Gnosis Safe, for example. They're purely a multi-sig. It's just smart contracts. It's not actually a wallet. And then you have MetaMask, which is a standard self-custody wallet where you control your assets. So our wallet will be a little bit in the middle. We are a standard wallet, just like MetaMask, SafePal, Rabi, etc. But we will have the ability for users to toggle on multi-sig capability, which heightens your security and allows you to have more peace of mind for where you're storing your assets. It has all of the standard wallet functions, swaps, buys, you name it. You'll be able to on-ramp, off-ramp directly to the wallet. But then our premium features are very much on the financial management side of things. So we have the AI system that I just spoke about. But then we also have the human advisory platform where you can go on, you can hire a licensed advisor / consultant in your jurisdiction. And they can do what we call mirror in to your wallet. So you'll be able to give them your wallet address. They'll be able to go into our system. They'll be able to use their admin panel. They'll be able to suggest where you need to put or allocate your funds. And then you go in and accept or decline their suggestion. So you never give up custody. You never lower that security aspect of the wallet. But at the same time, we'll have the chance to have expert advice within the DeFi space. And also, like I said before, you can manually input off-chain assets. So even as a traditional finance advisor, they'll be able to come on and advise you on your traditional assets as well as your DeFi assets, and handle it all within one platform. So in the traditional finance world, it's very much a rigmarole to go around. Advisors have to deal with multiple different accounts, communication avenues, brokerages, etc., etc. They won't need to do that. They'll be able to handle everything from our wallet in one place, from communications to management. They'll handle everything within our wallet.
Very cool. Yeah, I love the website as well. I know Kelly is streaming the website right now on the screen, but if people who are tuning in want to check it out, it's blockguard.org. Definitely recommend following official links. So if you do go to their X account, they do have the URL to the website in their bio. What would, if you were speaking with somebody, say they were using MetaMask or Rabby or something like that, what would you pitch them on as being the number one selling point to move over to using the Fusio wallet?
Anthony, do you want to take this one?
For me, it's the ability to remove the idea of having a centralized exchange. So what we've done with our ability to on and off ramp directly from the wallet is you don't have to worry about the 5-day waiting period on Coinbase and whether they're going to lock your account and you can't get your funds. We have partnered with a key partner, OnRamper. They allow you to literally take from your bank account directly to your wallet, and you can go back and forth in multiple different currencies. Buy and sell directly on the wallet. And then also we take credit card payments. So if you want to use your Sky Miles, let's say you've got a credit card with $20,000 on it, you want to rack up Sky Miles. Well, you can buy your Bitcoin and your XRP with your Sky Miles points directly through our wallet. And then the consultancy side is huge. No one's done that yet, in my opinion. The ability to have the financial planning aspect built directly into it with AI agents giving you advice. We will be tiered, so we'll have a tiered system. Will be AI agents free for you to be able to use to a limited extent. And then once you buy into one of the tiered aspects, you're going to be able to get more complicated with those AI recommendations and what that AI agent can do for you. So thus far, we've kind of taken dozens and dozens of wallets and taken the best features of what we think certain wallets offered. And then we just expounded it into almost like a Robinhood type decentralized aspect where in the future, RWAs are going to become really big. So pretty soon you're going to be able to have a tokenized version of your Apple stock held within your DeFi wallet. It's not there yet, but it's coming soon. And then we'll be able to support something of that nature.
Do you have any campaigns or features that are ongoing that are specifically going to help keep the community engaged?
Yeah, so one of our smaller products is a fantasy Fusio game. What that is if you've heard of fantasy football or Dream Team, where you go in and make your favorite football team out of your players, you've got a certain amount of dollars that you can buy each player with, and you make the best team that you think. Take that and put it into crypto and stocks. So we've designed the game so you have $100,000 virtual money. At the moment, the games are a $5 buy-in. It's in beta testing at the moment. We have a closed group of around 25 people testing. You then compete against either PvP or our AI character Marlow Baines. Anyone who beats Marlow Baines in the current game take a share of the prize pot. And then PvP will be different. It'll be set by us. So it could be top 10% of the leaderboard win, top 1% of the leaderboard win, 50-50 double money. So that's one of the things we're putting out there into the community to really engage the community, give a very, very low barrier of entry way of learning, but also way of making a lot of money, especially when it comes to the guaranteed 10x pools. If you guarantee to get to the top 10% of the leaderboard and you 10x your money, I mean, it's a very low barrier of entry at $5, $10, $15. But with the odds that you get for building the portfolio to the risk reward, it should be able to engage the community very well, and people should be able to win some decent rewards and some decent funds. We then also have the standard Zeely campaigns, Galaxy campaigns, We have a big KOL push coming with Sander Gautier's The Killer Whales, Hello Labs. Obviously, we're on here with Mario. We've got another AMA with Mario on his account on the 9th. We have around 15 or 20 other KOLs ready to start pushing towards the end of this week. And then AMAs with all of our Launchpad partners as well.
One of the things I noticed on here as well, just to highlight it for everybody out there paying attention, is the BGuard token and Fusio. Can you talk a little bit about the two tokens and how they incorporate into your ecosystem?
Yeah, so the Fusio token is what we are launching now. That's going through the Launchpads. DAO Maker went live today. That's very much our platform utility token. We wanted it to be completely community owned, no VCs, no KOLs. Nobody has any of the Fusio token, not even the team, only buyers from the community or the Launchpad. We really wanted that to be a community driven token for the ecosystem. The BGRD coin is the blockchain governance coin. So we haven't touched upon the blockchain yet, but it's around 50% completed. First node is up and running. It's going to be the first blockchain with on-chain 2FA system. So drastically increases end user security. If a hacker hacks your wallet and you're on our chain, they cannot remove funds unless they hack your 2FA system also. So obviously all networks always concentrate on the trilemma, decentralization, speed. We all know it. But nobody ever concentrates on end user security. And I think for adoption, that needs to happen. The reason banks are as big as they are is because people trust it. People trust it. They don't really have a reason to trust them. Banks are as bad as everybody, but that's why they trust them. They put their money in. They think, right, my money's safe in there. Somebody can't just access my account and take my money out. That's what we want to provide with our blockchain. We want people to be able to put their investment funds, their I don't know what they call it in the USA, but like the last will and testament. We want people to be able to hold what they want to pass on to their children on our network. And for that, end user security needs to drastically be scaled. And we think on-chain 2FA system is one of the things that will be able to make that happen.
Well, you know why it's so incredible, because usually the best ideas that are the aha moment are the ones that are like, how come every chain out there, every wallet out there hasn't implemented this? So I commend you guys on taking that step for sure. And of course, at the first half of this discussion, for anybody, if you did tune in late, as this wraps up here, not yet, but here in a little, make sure you go back and watch this entire discussion, because we had a really wide-ranging discussion of where we're at, what's going on in the crypto market, the landscape, also AI. And that brings to point here. I did see on your website and some of the discussion you just had also about the integrations of AI. Can you talk a little bit about how AI is integrated or utilized within the wallet and within your ecosystem?
Yeah, so we have our in-house built AI goal planning system that's been built from the knowledge, methods, and techniques of our CPO, Thomas. Thomas had his traditional finance firm for over a decade, built it up to 100 million plus assets under management. He sold that completely to come with us. So our in-house system is built upon his methods and techniques. But then we have a whole wide array of AI offerings, which Vitalis and his team at Mindscraft AI are going to be helping us with. That's everything from news, real-time news, to real-time wallet tracking. You'll be able to go into our wallet, create your own agents, build it specifically to how that you want the agent to be. And if I don't mind saying, Mindscraft AI, without a doubt, they're not live to the public yet, but they are the easiest platform in the space by a mile to build your own agent. Simple drag drop, create everything from trading agents to social agents, shitposting agents, you name it, you can do it on Mindscraft AI platform. And you'll have the ability in our wallet to be able to go in, create your own agent, have your agent connect with you, send you notifications within our wallet, whether it be price data, news, Black Swan events. It'll really be that personal assistant that you don't get in any other wallet. So I'll just pass over to Vitalis quickly. Do you want to touch upon how the AI works and how your Launchpad works?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the opportunity. So yeah, in a few words, Minecraft is a no-code platform for deploying and tokenizing AI agents. However, I would say we specializes in like utility expansion. So if you look at like Web3 AI, it's mostly very limited. There are, I would say, two most famous options. First is virtuals, that is very user friendly. However, it's very limited in terms of features. So you basically can create a reply bot, and there is not much else you can do. There is also AI16Z, that's basically a framework for developers. So no, like average users cannot do anything with it. And what we are building is basically the platform where architecture is fully modular, and all the features that are getting connected to the platform are designed to be used by like people who don't know how to code and even don't know how to prompt. So it's drag and drop. Basically, vibe coding. You can see it as vibe AI agent creation, where you just add features with toggle lists, add data feeds with toggle lists. So basically all the stuff that usually you need to build connectors, code, or purchase data can be just added with one click. So let's say you want on-chain data for your agent, it's just one click and toggle. You want to connect your agent not only for 2x or Telegram, but Discord, let's say, again, just like adding API keys, that's it, that's done. You want to expand some other features, for example, image generation. You need to train model, right? But we have simplified the process, so you only need to upload 4 images, and it learns from it and takes the style for future image generation. You want X interactions, it's super expanded and custom, so you can choose like list of people you want to interact with, what is accuracy. Also, model is self-learning, so there is a bias. It means like based on previous conversations, it will make or imitate relations, if you wish, like and there is just I think I've covered only like 10%, and all that I have mentioned right now is already live, and we are constantly adding more and more features, making like utility for end users. And yeah, I think the end goal is to just make agent creation very simple and intuitive process that can help people solve their problems.
Right on. Well, I appreciate that. And again, I want to shout out everybody that's tuned in. We do appreciate you here, and also the BlockGuard team for coming back on. I'm looking forward to having you back on here in not too long from now. And again, congratulations on all the development you guys have done. I do want to throw one last thing out to you before we do go. If you have any important dates coming up, anything that you're looking forward to in the very near future with what's going on, and a call to action for everybody that's tuned in.
Yeah, so the main thing is, as I mentioned, we've had DAO Maker Launchpad start today, just a couple of hours ago. We have another 8 Launchpad partners that starting up until the 9th, which is when we're jumping on with Mario again. And we have TGE on the 11th. So anybody that's interested to come and take a deeper dive, have a look what we're doing, come in and take a look. This token is the gateway to the entire ecosystem. So yeah, definitely come and take a look. Any added questions you've got, feel free to reach out to us.
Awesome. Again, I appreciate you guys coming on. I love seeing people that are building towards the user, not just towards their bank account, and in this case, you're building towards the user's bank account. In this case, it's actually crypto wallets, because that's the new frontier. Again, shout out everybody. If you want to check them out, I highly recommend heading over to BlockGuard.org. That's BlockGuard.org. And you can also find them on their socials at BlockGuard1. That's the number one, BlockGuard1. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate every one of you here on the panel. All of you, if you did tune in at any point late, go back as this wraps up, watch through the whole conversation, because it has been fascinating. Buzz, I'm going to throw it over to you to wrap us out.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. And the folks who are up here on the panel, they most of them have their X handle in their username here. And these are the only shows that they're attending. So make sure that you're following them on X. They're dropping alpha in other places too. So give them a follow. Everyone have a great day. Happy Monday. And let's get after it this week. Take care, everyone.
Thank you guys again. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.